The Saints have won each of their first 3 Peach Belt Conference series. Tonight they look to keep that momentum going as USC Aiken visits St. Augustine. Flagler baseball starts now. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us on a beautiful night for baseball. It's about 70 degrees and sunny, just wispy clouds overhead. I'm Dave Wenda along with Jordan Fauci and our producer Juliana Maynard. Glad to have you with us as the Pacers visit the ancient city. And Jordan, for for Flagler, they've really got it going since they got into conference play.
Oh, they've looked like an entirely different team here, Dave. Since conference play started, it seems like they've flipped a switch 100%. Everything seems to be coming together for the Saints. They're pitching a lot better. They're hitting the ball. They can win a multitude of ways. They can take you into one of those 1-0 pitcher duel games. They'll manufacture runs, but also those bats can get hot at any time, and they can put up runs like the best of them.
Yeah, the bats were a little quiet in the non-conference schedule, but they've certainly warmed up as the weather has warmed up. And the pitching has been outstanding, particularly the starting pitching. And tonight, the Saints are throwing their ace. It's Gage Voorhees on the mound, making his 8th start of the season. He has a microscopic 2.44 ERA, a 3-1 record on the year. We'll get to the lineup as we go. Leading it off for the Pacers is the center fielder, Sean McQuillan.
So what was the backroom start time?
Voorhees, the right-hander, throws from about a 3/4 inch or a 3/4 arm slot, and that really is tough on the right-handed batters. Here's his first pitch to McQuillan, the center fielder. Now, Jordan, as a pitcher, how important is arm slot, and how does that affect what you do on the mound?
Oh, 100%. Every single pitch, arm slot.
And there's a little lazy fly ball to center field.
Arm slot really can dictate movement on every pitch. Just coming from that three-quarter arm angle, you'll see a lot more break from side to side, whereas traditional over-the-top, especially with breaking pitches, is going to come a lot more north-south, a lot more east-west approach when it comes from that as you start getting lower and lower on that arm slot.
The batter's the right fielder, Jackson Hannon. First pitch fouled off, strike one.
It's huge for Voorhees here to start off with strikes, something that he's been doing very well all year. His great starts this season, he has been able to lead guys off and get ahead in counts. You always want to pitch ahead in the count.
Here's the 0-1, and he pumps it in for a strike. Well, you talked about Voorhees liking, and I know you've seen a lot of games here at Drysdale Field this season. Voorhees often starts off with the breaking stuff.
Oh, yeah. Johnny's been great. The catcher, Johnny Fiorenz, has been great about calling games. And he loves to lead off, especially with Voorhees, lead off with the breaking ball. And when Voorhees can locate that breaking pitch first strike, he's almost unhittable.
There's a swing and a miss. Speaking of unhittable, strikeout, and there are 2 gone here in the top of the first, and it looks like Voorhees has his good stuff early here for the Saints.
Back to that arm slot, you see that slider just come all the way across the plate. It's starting on, especially right-handed batters, it's starting behind them and working its way all the way to the left-handed batter's box. That's really tough to make contact with. Pitch tunneling too, with his 2-seam fastball, he's one heck of a pitcher.
Here's Josh Sharp, the designated hitter. Sharp, a .272 batter, 28 hits, 3 of them doubles. He has a homer and has driven in 18. And he's ahead here 2-0. Stiff wind blowing from right to left field. We don't see that often here at Drysdale Field. It's been blowing hard from the west all day. Here's a ground ball to Burke, should end the inning. 3 up, 3 down as we head to the bottom of the first. And welcome back. Bottom of the first, no score for the Saints. Leading off here in the second inning will be Trey Newland, Mason Gray, and Miles Colangelo due up. They'll face Peyton Boozer, making his first ever collegiate start. He's a left-hander, redshirt freshman. This is his ninth appearance of the season. He's 2-0 with a 4.76 earned run average. He's worked 17 innings, given up 22 hits, 9 earned runs, and he's struck out 17 against 9 walks. First up, Trey Newland. And the first pitch is outside. Newland hitting .299, good for third on the Saints roster. 26 hits, 5 doubles. He's driven in 10.
Look for the Saints to try and jump on him early. This is the first start of his career, as Dave already said. Nerves could get the best of him. If you can try and kill that confidence early, Saints could put up runs in a hurry.
Yeah, especially with the wind blowing out. Newland ahead here 2-0.
It's amazing to see how much the wind plays a factor here at Drysdale Field. Depending on how the wind blows, this can turn from pitcher's park straight into a hitter's park.
That's a great point. It really can. And the Saints aren't known for power. They're more of a singles hitting bunch, but it'd be fun if they could get a couple of them up in the air, because the wind is really whipping here in St. Augustine. The count's 2-1. And that's outside, 3 balls and 1 strike. Newland and Mason Gray at the top of the order feature plus speed, and that's something that Coach Dave Barnett has been able to exploit. That one catches the inner half.
Starting out a little wild here for Boozer, Dave. Could be the nerves. First start of his career. Hate to walk, especially Newland or Gray. Working with runners on is going to be tough.
There's a swing and a miss, and Newland has gone on strikes. One away here in the bottom of the first. Well, Boozer be able to battle back there in that after falling behind and is able to punch out Newland.
The first inning is arguably the most important inning for a starting pitcher, to establish tempo, establish your strike zone, get a feel for the umpire's strike zone. If you come out strong like Voorhees did, you can really set the tone for the rest of the game.
This is Mason Gray, lays down the bunt. Boozer fields it, and the throw is just in time. 2 gone. You do see the speed getting down the first baseline from Gray there, who almost beat out the bunt.
Oh, Gray has absolute burners on the base path. That plus speed is the half of it there. That kid can fly up and down the base path.
Yeah, both Gray and Newland among the conference leaders in stolen bases. Here's Miles Colangelo, who's really come on of late. First pitch is a fastball for a strike.
You see a bit of movement on Boozer's fastball. It's tailing off arm side. He's looking to stay on that outside part of the plate. To righties, that's going to be extremely difficult to see. Come in, you think it's going to hit that outside part of the plate. Get a lot of swings and misses on that outside part of the plate.
1 ball and 1 strike, and the umpires will come together. I'm not sure what this is about. Our umpires today behind home plate is Gary Smetana. At first is Michael Stone, and the third base umpire is Mark Morgan. I think the discussion is whether the pitch hit Colangelo. Here's the 1-1. Good hack, but he fouls it straight back. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And that one's high and outside, ball 2.
You can see the nerves there, Dave. He obviously wanted to go fastball there, shook off the catcher twice and tried to pump that one in, just tried to overthrow the ball, missed it high and outside.
So 2 balls and 2 strikes now to Colangelo. He's playing right field today, gets the start, and he looks at strike 3. So a couple of strikeouts for Boozer, and the Saints go in order. No score after 1.
it both ways. That's going to really help with Gage, though, because Gage loves to sit outside. He plays a lot with tempo. He pitches. A lot of new age pitchers, especially with high velocity, are going to try and pitch north-south. But Gage is a bit of a throwback guy with plus off-speed pitching. He loves to just mix up. He'll pitch off of his breaking ball. So if he can change up tempos, if it's a wide strike zone, he can really just shut a team down. I feel like I'm speaking a little too fast when I'm talking into the. I don't know.
Sounds great.
Okay.
I think that's great.
Thanks.
And welcome back. Top of the second inning here from Drysdale Field in St. Augustine. No score. It'll be Jeff Sear, Nick Tripp, and Ty Gilbert for the Pacers. First up, Sear, the second baseman. There's that first pitch breaking ball.
Sear has a slugging percentage of .453 on the year. When he's making contact, he's hitting the ball, finding gaps, getting extra base hits. Something you want to see out of your four-hole guy.
And an on-base percentage north of .400 as well. Voorhees steps off. Sear taking a long time getting set in the box.
Looking like Nomar there, doing the whole glove.
Here's the 0-2, and it's high, ball one.
See it again, though, Dave. Voorhees getting ahead in counts. He's dangerous when he can open up and keep pitchers guessing. He has some of the best off-speed we've seen in Division II.
1-2 just misses.
Johnny thought that one was a strike for sure. He got up, ready to fire that one down to Ward at third.
John Fiorenza, the catcher, dealt with injuries a year ago, but he's back healthy, and he's hitting the ball well. In addition to his outstanding play behind the plate, this one popped up on the infield. Matthew Burke calls for it and deals with the wind, fights it off, and makes the play.
Back to Johnny. I'd argue he's one of the best defensive catchers in all of college baseball, let alone Division II. He is an absolute wall behind the plate and has a fantastic arm. Half the time he doesn't even have to pop up. He's just firing it from his knees, and you can see that really affects the running game and gives his pitchers a lot more confidence on the mound.
Batter is Nick Tripp, and he grounds it back up the middle for the game's first base hit. So Tripp is aboard, and the batter will be the left fielder, Ty Gilbert. Yeah, Fiorenza, they love what he does defensively first here at Flagler. Coach Barnett and Jeff Pelkey, the pitching coach, they love how he handles the staff. You mentioned the strong arm behind the plate, and we're hearing that he's getting some interest from professional scouts. You don't see a lot of Deep 2 players go in the draft now that they've shortened the draft. But he could, or perhaps even sign a free agent deal. This is a grounder to Ward. He goes the short way for one out, and that'll be it. Now there are two gone in the inning.
Oh, yeah, but when you have a glove a presence like that behind the plate, someone who you don't see it a lot, Johnny's calling his own pitches, controlling the staff, calling pitches. Something that you don't really see a lot in college baseball. A lot of coaches, for the most part, want that control. But Dave's given John the reins, and it has paid off dividends.
So here's Scott Huntley, the shortstop. And a first pitch strike from Voorhees.
But back to John here. You see, with runners on, that can get into a pitcher's head sometimes, really just trying to work that running game. When you have someone like John behind the plate with such a strong arm, it takes a lot of pressure off, where you can just focus on pitching instead of controlling that running game because you have such an intimidating player behind the dish.
Gilbert is at first. count is 0-2. And this one outside trying to get Huntley to chase.
This is 4th at-bat of the year. First start, first action we've seen from him.
Here's the 1-2. Ground ball to Burke. He'll go to first. So a hit, but no runs. It's still scoreless here in St. Augustine.
It's a lot to ask.
And welcome back. Bottom of the second. Leading off is Ashton Thomas, the left fielder. First pitch strike. Thomas has had a great season. 321. 27 hits, 9 of them doubles. Still looking for his first homer. And has 17 runs batted in.
It's coming one of these days. He is due. He has gotten on the ball. He just consistently makes extremely hard contact, which is something you want to see out of your big bats, and it's why he's batting so well on the year. But he's making extremely hard contact. Even his outs are what we'd call loud outs. He's really getting on the ball. He's seen it great this season.
Behind here, 0-2. And this is an issue sometimes for Thomas. He's such a free swinger that he can get behind in the count. And there's a hard hit ball to left field, backing up, and it's over the head of the left fielder, Gilbert. It's going to be a double for Thomas, and there's the hard hit ball you're talking about.
He's just so strong. You see how he fights that. That's an inside pitch right there. He fought off and had the power to drive that over the left fielder's head. That is great strength. That's great hitting. That's just a great example of two-strike hitting. Defending the entire zone, getting to every single pitch, and being able to drive the ball to left field. It's great.
So now runner in scoring position, and the batter is Luke Wellborn. Wellborn playing first today, and he looks at a strike. Wellborn batting .247, 21 hits, 3 of them doubles. He has 3 home runs, which leads the club. Saints don't hit a lot of homers, just 11 on the season. Slice foul. That could change today with the wind blowing out as briskly as it is.
Wellborn's going to see a lot of off-speed pitches, as we just saw there. Lefty on lefty matchup. You don't see a lot of as a left-handed batter, you don't see a lot of breaking pitches coming from that side. So that's 3 straight we just saw to Wellborn. He's done a great job fighting them off, but he's going to get a steady diet of breaking balls from Boozer here.
So the count is 0-2 to Wellborn.
We'd love to see the Saints get out and get a run early here. Seems like as soon as one person, these bats can get hot at any time.
Just gets a piece to stay alive. Yeah, it seems like the hitting has been contagious. I know that's kind of a cliche, but for the Saints, it has. The base hits come in bunches when they come for them, and they've come more lately. You talked about how they've really gotten things going once they hit conference play. Saints having to replace a lot of pieces from last year. The entire starting outfield is different this year. The top 2 or 3 starting pitchers have changed, but guys like Voorhees and Seth Wasaki have been fantastic additions at the top of the staff. And then you have guys like Newland and Mason Gray who have jumped right in and become contributors. That one just off the plate, ball 1.
I think that all the turnover really explains the slow start that the Saints had, because they have the talent to be one of the best teams in Division II. It's just a lot of new pieces. Sometimes just takes a little to click, but Saints have looked great as of late. That's another breaking ball there to Wellborn.
Good at bat from Wellborn, staying alive, fouling off quality pitches from Boozer.
Oh, yeah, this is what we call a quality at-bat, a QAB here for Wellborn. Especially with a young guy, you want to drive the pitch count up early. It's the best way to get a pitcher off of his game is to make him go late into counts. And Wellborn's doing a great job right here.
There's the 1-2. And line back up the middle for a base hit. They'll send Thomas, and there will not be a throw. The Saints score first. It's 1-0 Flagler.
That is just a fantastic at-bat from Wellborn. That is a fantastic at-bat from Wellborn. He was able to just keep fighting off pitches till he found one he could do damage with, and he put that one right back up the middle, returned it right to the sender, and drove in Thomas.
So still nobody out, and the batter is John Fiorenza, the catcher, hitting .275 this year. Fiorenza also with 3 homers.
I'd argue he is the strongest player on the Saints in terms of just muscle mass. When he gets a hold of a ball, it goes miles. And having the lefty-righty matchup here, if I was going to put money on anyone for the Saints,
that ball is high. It gets all the way to the backstop. It carried him back to the catcher Seuss, but Wellborn able to move up 90 feet.
Looking like Charlie Sheen and Wild Thing there, just a bit outside with that one. But as I was saying, if I was going to put money on anyone today hitting one out, I'd definitely say it's going to be Johnny. Just the power, lefty-righty matchup, and with the way the wind's blowing, I think he might have a chance today.
It's a hitter's count, and takes a good cut at that one, waves through it, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
You saw the fastball there, and his eyes lit up. An elevated fastball and a hitter's count. He wanted to go bridge with that one.
The 2-1, and that's high and outside. 3 balls and 1 strike.
I'm noticing here with Boozer, with runners on, especially after letting up that first run, when he's throwing his fastball, he's really trying to get everything behind it, and you see that's why he's missing a lot high and outside. He's not finishing. He's trying to throw too much with his pure arm. You see he misses outside again.
Ball 4. There are runners at first and second with nobody out for Jaden Ward. Ward is red hot lately, 13 for his last 31 over his last 7 games.
This is just the guy you want up with the runners in scoring position here. This could be a huge at-bat in the game early in the game here.
And a visit to the mound for the Pacers. They want to talk about this before things get out of hand potentially here in the second inning. Gives us a chance to thank some of the sponsors of Flagler Athletics. Vested Metals. We are a customer-centric and solution-based metal supplier. UBS Financial. Pursue what matters most to you for today, tomorrow, and generations to come. Sniffen and Spellman, PA, a full-service law firm representing clients statewide. The McLeod Firm, Florida personal injury attorneys you can depend on. And Taylor and Waldrop, St. Augustine lawyers, backed by experience. What do they think they're talking about out there? You're an old pitcher, or not an old pitcher, former pitcher.
I'd say old too. I'm getting up there in age, but you have a sophomore, you have the pitching coach coming out. You have a young pitcher there. Young tandem in both. You have a freshman pitcher and a sophomore catcher. Just trying to calm both of them down. Make sure, just execute your pitches. Try and roll up a double play here. That's what I'd be looking for if I was on the mound.
Ward leading the Saints with a .338 average. And a big cut on the first offering from Boozer. It's a foul ball.
John Jordan with some fantastic work here, getting us some left and right-handed splits here.
Counts 0-1. I'll let Jordan peruse those. He was wondering kind of aloud how the Saints do versus lefties or righties. And John able to very quickly run the numbers. Count is 0-1 to Ward.
Jaden Ward threw 21 at-bats against the left-handed pitching, batting .333. Just the guy you want up in this situation. You got to see a lot, especially trying to get that double play. You're going to see a lot of off-speed pitches to the outside part of the plate, trying to get Ward to roll over and roll up an easy double play ball.
The count is 1 ball and 1 strike. And this one is a base hit into right field, and they're going to hold the runner Wellborn at third, so the bases are loaded. Still nobody out, and that brings up Tyler Keith.
Great piece of opposite field hitting there from Ward as he continues just his absolute tear. He's hitting the cover off the ball. And this is a huge moment here. You got Tyler Keith in, bases loaded, no outs. You got to at least try and get one run across the board. You'd hate to see a double play ball here. Just try and get the ball hit hard, hit it somewhere. Try and get it deep. If you're going to make an out, make a productive out.
Keith, a designated hitter. He's the backup catcher to Fiorenza. And gets a fair amount of playing time as a catcher, especially when we see the double headers on weekend conference series in particular.
He's batting .241 with runners in scoring position.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Seth Johnston warming up.
Starting to see some action in the Pacers bullpen. We mentioned that this is Boozer's first collegiate career start. And he looks a little off his game here, a little shaken up by this offensive production here in the second inning by the Saints.
This is a big spot here. Nerves might be getting the best of the young lefty. It's tough spot to be in. Obviously, you got to get the guys going in the pen if this goes from bad to worse for the Pacers.
2-1 pitch, fouled off. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Keith, a .244 hitter overall, and a good on-base guy, .386 on-base percentage. He's good at getting hit by a pitch, if you could say that. I mean, it's not necessarily a skill, but it's something that happens a lot to Tyler Keith.
Hey, some people are just a magnet for the baseball. Being a catcher, he's getting hit quite a bit as well behind the plate, but some people just have a knack for it. And Keith has been one of the best in Division II over his career here.
Now the count, 3 balls and 2 strikes, and nowhere to put Keith. Last year, Keith hit just 160, but he had a .373 on base percentage, so it speaks to how many times he walks, but also getting hit by a pitch. And this one fouled off at the plate. That might have gotten a piece of him.
Oh, that one definitely got a piece of him as he's walking that one off. As a catcher, you obviously They see a lot of pitches being behind the plate, and they usually have the best eye for pitches on the team. They know how a pitcher works. They know what's going on. They have the best mind for what pitch is going to come next.
It's a 3-2 pitch, fouled straight back over the press box. Keith, a transfer from Post University. He once had a 3-home run game for Post and 9 RBIs in that game. And an RBI opportunity here for him. With the bases loaded, nobody out, and a 3-2 count. And this one lifted into short left field. It's going to get down for another base hit. Here comes Wellborn to score the second run of the inning for the Saints, and it's 2-0 Flagler.
Saints are being very patient at the plate, working counts late, doing exactly what you need to do against a young pitcher, just against any pitcher in general, working counts late, and they're just putting up great at-bats across the board. And it's paid off with 2 runs here and an opportunity for more with the bases loaded.
Here's Matthew Burke, the second baseman.
Burke, 8 for 31, 258 average against left-handed hitting.
This is the 40th pitch already for Boozer. He's talked about getting deep in counts. The Saints have made the young lefty work hard through an inning plus.
Yeah, 40. You never want to see 40 pitches through 2 innings. Can't imagine if this could be his last batter here if Burke gets on.
And that's inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Burke hitting 280. That average steadily climbing through conference play.
He had a tough start to the season, Burke did, but as of late, as you were saying, he's just starting to put together much better at-bats.
The 1-1, ground ball to third. They'll come home for 1, and they throw to first not in time, so they mow down the lead runner. There's now 1 out, and the bases are still loaded.
Props to Burke there for hustling that one out. Can't afford a double play there. Just make sure he's always hustling down that line. That's what will keep you in a lineup, folks. Even if you're not making great contact with the ball, your glove and hustle will make, especially a coach like Dave, an old school guy like Dave, that will keep you in a lineup. Especially turning it over to the top of the lineup here. Double play would have been pretty tough for the Saints, but now you got the top of the order here with 1 out.
Here's Trey Newland. Newland struck out to lead off for the Saints back in the first inning, and he looks at a first pitch ball. So the corner infielders are right on the grass, and you would expect if they get another ground ball to one of the corner infield positions, they'd come home again.
But yeah, no, you got those 2 guys.
Lifted to left center. And the left fielder, Gilbert, makes the catch. Tagging and scoring is...
That was Ward.
Ward, thank you.
Great base running there from Burke as well. As you see, everyone tagged up there, but usually you don't see on a ball into left field. You don't see a guy tag up from, you rarely see someone tag up from first base. But heads up base running there from Burke, expecting them to try and get not the fastest guy in the clubhouse in Tyler Keith at third. He just took advantage of that and swiped second. So now you got 2 guys in scoring position. That's heads up baseball.
2 outs, and the batter's Mason Gray, who grounded back to the pitcher his first time.
That first baseman is playing quite far back. It'd be a bold move, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him try and lay something down that first base with the wheels that he has.
And there's a strike, 1 ball and 1 strike. Now Mason Gray, we've seen him beat out base hits with the bunt. He attempted the bunt his first time up. Here's the 1-1. So Tyler Keith is at third, Matthew Burke at second. There are 2 gone, and already 3 in for the Saints here in the second. 1-2 pitch. Fouled out of play.
Saints are still there. Boozer, the one thing about Boozer that he's done very well thus far is that off-speed pitch. That curveball has a lot of snap to it, and the Saints really haven't been able to make solid contact with it, but they've done a great job of fighting it off and waiting for the fastball.
Here's a ground ball to first. This should end the inning. The Saints put 3 on the board in the second, and they lead it 3-0.
Props to you, John. That's some great work. Yeah.
So what's the verdict?
The verdict is we don't hit lefties that well. We don't see him nearly as much, but we don't hit lefties that well.
What's the split?
Only one with a positive split is Mason Gray, or actually Trey Newland as well.
So versus left.
Yeah, 242
Versus what was it?
270. But obviously, we'll talk about that when we come back. Yeah. More interested in what Voorhees has to offer here. This is a shutdown inning. What you want to see after? I'll talk about it. Whatever.
Top of the third inning, Saints got 3 runs on 4 hits in the second. They lead it 3-0. Do it for the Pacers, Caden Blankenship, Carson Seuss, and Sean McQuillan. First up, the third baseman, Blankenship. And so with Voorhees, now he's spotted a lead.
Yeah, this is a huge inning here for the Saints as a whole, but Voorhees, especially on the mound, you want to have what they call a shutdown inning.
Here's the 0-1 pitch, and he pumps it in for a strike. Looked like that was an off-speed pitch. Was that a changeup or a
No,
slider?
that looked like a slide piece there from Gage. He has one of the best I've seen coming through Flagler in some time, as he went with it again and got the strikeout.
So Blankenship is retired for the first out, and that brings up Carson Seuss, the catcher.
But back to this, you want to see a shutdown inning here for the pitching staff. After you spotted a lead, best thing you can do, a quick inning, not a lot of traffic on the base, and get those bats back up, because they were hitting the ball 4 hits in that inning. So
Seuss hitting just 205 on the year, 8 hits and 39 at bats. He has a couple of doubles. He's driven in 2. Count is 1-0. And that one stays up and out of the zone. 2 balls and no strikes.
what I like about Gage is he works fast. He's in a rhythm. You always see him on the mound before the batter's back in the box.
And here's his 2-0 pitch. This one hammered to left, and Thomas barely makes a move. That is long gone for a home run, and the Pacers are on the board.
Yeah, it looked like he hung a changeup there, and that one was taken for a ride. You hate to see that as a pitcher, but a solo shot is not the end of the world. Make sure he battles back here, gets the next two guys down, and turns it around, gets those bats back going.
You may be able to hear the crowd in the background. A lot of Aiken fans have come down, made the trip here to St. Augustine, and why wouldn't you, with the beautiful weather we're having? And they've shown up, maybe as many Pacers fans as Saints fans.
Yeah, it looks pretty split down the middle. Thankfully, we have quite a bit of Saints athletes here supporting the guys here at Drysdale Field. Softball just finished up their game. They started at 4. Unfortunately lost, but they're here nonetheless supporting their guys on the Big Diamond.
The batter, Sean McQuillan, who flew out to center his first time up, and he's ahead here, 2 balls and no strikes.
Gage needs to settle down here. You hate to see a ball crushed like that, but big for him to just battle back here and get this next guy.
Falls behind McQuillan, 3 balls and no strikes. How does the wind affect you as a pitcher? I mean, it's blowing pretty hard today. Is that a factor when you're on the mound?
You try not to think about it. Honestly, you try not to think about it. Before the game, you'll notice if it's blowing out, the weather's warm and it's blowing out, try to keep the balls down as much as possible. That's just a rule of thumb in general, just keep the ball down. But you try not to think about the wind as much. It's more temperature based, especially down here in Florida. As the temperature goes up, that ball can get to flying.
Count is 3 balls and 2 strikes to McQuillan. That's inside, and McQuillan is aboard with a 1-out walk.
Gage did a great job of battling back there, just couldn't close it out. Missed low and inside. But at the end of the day, it's a runner on first. You can still roll up that double play ball at any time and get out of this.
That brings up Jackson Hannon, who was a strikeout victim back in the first.
Hannon with a .390 slugging percentage, .330 on base. A couple of bombs on the year. Leads or has 5 doubles, tied for second place on the Pacers in doubles. Just try and keep the ball low, try and keep it outside. Good rule of thumb here, and try and roll up that double play ball, get you out of the inning.
0-1 the count to Hannon. Voorhees taking a little more time with the runner on. And looked like he pulled the string on that one.
Oh, yeah. That was a great pitch there from Gage. He pitches east to west with great off-speed pitching like he has. Just a great arsenal of off-speed pitches. He just tries to really mess with guys' timing, especially holding the ball there with runner on, but also you see with the strikeout, he went with a bit of a quick pitch there. Just throwing off the batter's timing, it's huge. Messing with timing, guys on the plate try to get into a rhythm. And if you can hold the ball like that for a while, gets the guy uneasy in the box, and then come right back with the next pitch, throw a fastball, just blow it right by him, kind of catch him off guard.
So it's the 3rd strikeout of the game, 2nd of the inning for Voorhees, and the batter is Josh Sharp, the DH. Grounded out to second his first time up. I'll check on the runner. McQuillan has stolen 7 bases in 9 attempts. There's base stealers all up and down the lineup today for the Pacers. There's a ground ball again to Burke, and that should end the inning. The Pacers get a run on the home run, but the Saints continue to lead it 3-1.
Comfortable doing the color right now. Sunday we'll see how I feel. I'd like to obviously that's something I'm trying to. I'm not here Sunday now, so okay. Your show. Okay, yeah, I'll take the show. I'll take the reins. That's not a problem with me. I just got booked on a hockey thing that I can't turn down. So. Oh yeah, and it must be a busy time of year for you with spring training. And then this hockey's coming out of nowhere. I did the CBI the other day. The third string basketball tournament in Daytona. I've got a dog agility and jumping thing for 3 days in Ocala later. Nuts. Busy.
And bottom of the 3rd, 3-1 Saints. This is Miles Colangelo. Miles struck out looking in the first.
I'm surprised. Surprised that Boozer's still on the mound. Showed great poise there to get out of that jam with limiting the damage to only 3 runs when that could have gone very sideways for him. But I'm surprised. You got an interim head coach in Holder who's trusting his young guy to just keep going.
Yeah, the first 5 Saints reached in the second inning. 4 of them with base hits, a double from Thomas, RBI single from Wellborn, then Fiorenza walked, Ward with a single, and Keith singled. Two balls and 1 strike to Colangelo, getting the start today in right field. 2-1 pitch fouled off.
The versatility of the Saints outfield is something that really surprises me with. You have Thomas, who a lot of last year played first, either first base or that DH role. See him step up and play left field, especially with how he's played it. It's great to see, and it gets his bat into the lineup, which is huge, because you have a kind of a logjam with him and Wellborn being really only able to play those corner positions. It allows Thomas to get into the lineup without taking Wellborn out, and then having that option to have that DH there and get another bat in the lineup.
Yeah, interesting. Donovan Garcia not in the starting lineup today. Colangelo hitting so well, he gets the start in right, and that ball is outside. The count runs full. Colangelo's average up to 231 coming in. Coach Barnett, talking to him earlier today, said he had a good talk with Colangelo and said he needed to get more focused on the game and his approach at the plate. And we're starting to see the results of that, and he works a walk.
The patience at the plate they say patience is a virtue double the time in baseball. If you can be patient at the plate and just look for your pitch and really just try not take what the pitcher gives you, but come up with a plan. Come up to the plate with a plan, and the Saints batters have been very good at that this entire season. None of them are going up there. They're going up there with a set game plan, looking for one specific pitch, one specific area, and crushing the ball.
This is Ashton Thomas. First pitch swinging, and it's a strike. Thomas led off the second with a double to left. Got over the head of Gilbert.
Thomas, on the other hand, doesn't really come up with a pure plan to the plate. He's a free swinger, and he's very good at it as that one got him.
So Thomas gets aboard, but painfully so. And the first 2 are on for the Saints, and the batter is Luke Wellborn, who had an RBI single back in the second.
Yeah, Thomas didn't really expect that one to hit him. It must have tailed off into him with the lefty and fastball there. It looked like it tailed off, because usually you see him turn into that. He kind of just caught that one in his side, as we're going to get a change here.
Yep, a new pitcher coming. We'll take a break and tell you about him when we come back. And the new pitcher is number 30, Jacob Fletcher. 6'5" right-hander, redshirt freshman, transfer from South Georgia State. Fletcher making his 7th appearance. He has started 4 games. Sports a 1-2 record with a 5.12 ERA. 19 and a third innings of work, 27 hits allowed. He's given up 11 earned runs. Struck out 12, walked 6, and he'll deal with Luke Wellborn.
He's throwing the ball considerably harder than Boozer was, especially with that long, lanky frame. He seems to use all of it in his motion.
First pitch is a strike from Fletcher. What are your thoughts on Boozer's performance?
Did a great job in that second inning to really bounce back and come out of it. Personally, I was coach for Aiken. I would have pulled him after that. Sending him back out there. A strange decision to say the least, especially when you had a guy warming up in the pen and it didn't work out for him. But it's tough to see someone, his first start didn't go the way he wanted to. Hopefully he can bounce back. Not against Flagler, just for the sake of him.
Yeah, getting a Friday night start in college baseball, there's probably more pressure than in a lot of other pitching situations you could come into, and particularly your first collegiate start is on Friday against the second-place team in the Peach Belt Conference.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to put the kid in, but just he did a good job, really, to focus up. Didn't go the way he wanted to, but you got to expect that he'll bounce back. That's a big spot to put a freshman in for his first start of his career, and he'll bounce back. He has a lot of baseball left in his career, just as a freshman. So hopefully it's the first of many starts for him.
Count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. And this one just past the pitcher, barehanded by the shortstop, and it's going to be a base hit for Wellborn on a slowly hit ball to short.
Hey, you'll take him any way you can get him. Just off the end of the bat there. Managed to beat that one out. Great play there from the shortstop to barehand that, just with how slow it was hit. No chance you're going to get the runner. But a huge spot here for Johnny with the bases juiced.
Well, this is John Fiorenza. Bases loaded, nobody out. And the first pitch is a strike. Fiorenza walked back in the second inning when the Saints also were able to load the bases with no one out.
The Saints as a team batting .265 with runners in scoring position. Fiorenza, not as great, 189. However, splits versus righties, batting .304 against right-handed pitching. So
that's kind of interesting. Versus a righty versus a righty.
Strange to see, but Johnny's made the best of it, and let's see if he can do something here as he put a charge into that one.
Here's a fly ball to right. Tagging up is Colangelo, and he'll beat the throw home for the 4th run of the game for the Saints. Sue's having trouble finding the baseball, and now he does. It's a sacrifice fly and an RBI for John Fiorenza.
Dave, Coach Barnett's going to love to see that. That's a productive out with the bases loaded. You're not ground. Last thing you want to do is ground to a double play. Getting a productive out that's going to score a run. It's probably not what John wanted to see out of that at bat, but did the job nonetheless. He went up there, did his job.
I imagine he's not going to argue with the RBI.
Yeah, not going to argue with the RBI.
Jaden Ward had a single his first time, came around to score. First pitch is high, ball 1. So Ward, despite leading the team in average at .338, is hitting in the 7-hole.
Yeah, strange move there from Coach Barnett, but he likes what his lineup he likes where his lineup is in terms of just these guys are comfortable in their spots. Sometimes when you move a guy up, even though he's hitting the ball, moving him up a couple spots, sometimes that can throw off a guy's mentality. So Ward's crushing it in the 7-hole. Expect him to stay there.
1-1 the count to Ward. Foul tipped into the glove or at the plate. Ward had to earn the third base job. He's in his third year here in St. Augustine, but was battling Vondruska for the starting third base position, and eventually Ward has, I guess he's jumped up and grabbed it with his offensive play. He's also kind of settled in defensively. Errors were an issue at times earlier in his Saints career, but he sorted that out for the most part, and his average was down around the Mendoza line for much of his early career with the Saints. Here's a ground ball to third. The throw to second for one, and the throw pulls the first baseman off. So it's a fielder's choice rather than the double play.
Yeah, that's a good on Jaden to get and beat that one out almost. From our angle, it really didn't look like he came off the ump. Motion that he did come off the bag. Couldn't really see it from this angle, but it was a close play nonetheless. Good on Jaden to not let that end the inning.
This is Tyler Keith, and the throw over to first nearly gets away from the first baseman trip. Keith with an RBI single his first time up.
It was just on the outside corner there. Tough ball for Keith to put into play there, just barely skating on that outside part of the plate.
It's the 0-1. Little grounder back to the pitcher. A lot of English on that one. Fletcher makes the play, and the inning is over, but the Saints get another run, and they lead it 4-1. And welcome back. We're ready for the start of the fourth inning. The batter will be Jeff Sear, the second baseman. Sear popped out to second his first time up. Gage Voorhees has allowed 2 hits, one of them a home run. Flagler leading it 4-1. We talked about Flagler winning each of its first 3 Peach Belt Conference series. They swept Augusta to start Peach Belt Conference play. This one fouled off. Took 2 of 3 here at home against North Georgia, and then went on the road and took 2 of 3 from Young Harris. And Flagler now tied with Young Harris in second place, a game behind Columbus State.
Along with that as well, they've played the #1 team in Division II baseball and have lost by combined 2 runs in University of Tampa, both on the road and at home. they were sharp in both games. That's the best team in Division II baseball. The coaches say it. You can see it in how they play, but the Saints can play with them, and that's a great sign. Gives a lot of confidence to them as well, to the Saints as a whole. Just up top to bottom, you see a team that's ranked number 1, and both those games were winnable. They didn't go the Saints' way, but they were winnable nonetheless.
Yeah, the Saints will play, as of now, 5 teams that are in the top 25 of the D2 poll. Number 1, Tampa, that Jordan mentioned. Also, number 2, Columbus State is in the Peach Belt. Columbus State is really good. 23-4 overall, 8-1 in the PBC. Also on the Saints roster are ranked teams: Valdosta State, Rollins, and Florida Tech. Young Harris is also receiving votes. You would think Flagler would start to receive some votes. And this one, flown to left center, Newland ranging over and makes the catch. Newland runs so easily.
That's why you can afford to have someone who's not as fleet of foot as the traditional outfielder in Ashton Thomas. Not to say that he's slow or anything, but with the range that Newland gives you in center, he can play both gaps, and that's huge to allow Thomas to play more close to the line. Doesn't have to really cover that gap as much.
First pitch swinging, and this one flown to short left field, and taking it is Mason Gray, the shortstop. Or was that Ward? Excuse me. It's Ward. The third baseman makes the catch. And there are 2 gone quickly here in the 4th.
It's surprising to see the Saints not get any votes, considering how well they've played in conference, how well they've played against top teams, and you have teams in their conference that are ranked ahead of them despite the Saints just being flatly better on the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Young Harris kind of jumps out that they're the 3rd team in terms of receiving votes that's just out of the top 30 of the D2 poll. Here's a fly ball to Thomas. A little bit of an adventure.
That one got on him in a hurry. Sometimes when the ball's hit right at you, you can kind of throw your whole rhythm off. And Thomas made the play nonetheless, but he didn't make it look easy.
We head to the home half of the 4th. Saints leading at 4-1. And welcome back. Bottom of the 4th inning. Matthew Burke will lead things off for the Saints, who lead it 4-1. First pitch swinging, strike one. I love Burke's consistency. I think he started every game last year at second. I think he started every game so far this year at second, if I'm not mistaken. And here's batting in the 9-hole, but he's a guy that's rock solid defensively, and they like his approach at the plate. The results maybe not have borne it out as much, although he is hitting 280, so I mean nothing to sniff at. But Burke is just such a steady presence. And you talked about placement in a batting order. It doesn't seem to bother him. In fact, he's hit better since he's been moved to the 9 spot.
He's a guy who will turn that lineup over as he's going to get down with a base hit. As puts up another one there. Yeah, no, he has second base. You're not really looking for the biggest bat in your lineup, obviously. Just a guy who can get on and a guy who is consistent. The glove is what you're looking for mostly out of your middle infielders. Anything you can get with the bat is a plus. And what we've seen from him, that 9-hole is almost a second leadoff. We saw Gray and Newland alternate early in the season with that 9-hole, but now you've moved them up to the top 2. And it's great to have Burke where you can place him in that role and get good results out of it.
Speaking of, here's Trey Newland. 0 for 1 with an RBI on the sacrifice fly back in the second inning. Yeah, defensively up the middle, the Saints are very solid. The 0-1 is down in the dirt.
That's a great read there from Burke. That is a great read. He saw the ball in the dirt, took a couple steps, saw that it scooted by the catcher and took off. That's great base running. But, yeah, up the middle is what you want to see. Rock solid up defensively up the middle.
The catcher, John Fiorenza, is arguably one of the better defensive catchers in the conference, if not the country. Gray and Burke are very solid at shortstop and second, respectively. And then Trey Newland has so much range in center.
Oh, yeah, he plays most of the outfield. He's playing more than a third of the outfield. He has a lot of responsibility out there, but with the speed that he has, makes it look easy.
There's the 1-2 to him. Yeah, Newland, of course, replacing Jake Kaufman, who was the starter in center last year. The Saints having to turn over the entire outfield. And they had a lot of speed, left, right, and center a year ago. And certainly Newland is as fast as any of them. Ground ball to second for Sear. And there's one away.
Hey, that's a productive out there. If you're going to hit ground ball, if you're going to make an out there, you want to put it to the second base side of the infield, allow that runner to advance. Now all you need is a fly ball, score another run. That's Barnett loves to generate small ball runs, and that's textbook example right there. That's all on great base running from Matthew Burke, and that's another reason why he's in the lineup even when his bat's faltering, is just such a fundamentally sound player.
And that right on cue. Here's a fly ball drifting back at the track of the wall. It's gone. It's off the wall. Excuse me. It's going to be a triple, not the home run that I mentioned, and it's another run scored for the Saints.
I thought that looked like it had a chance.
It was going to just float over that outfield wall, but
it was a bit too much of a line drive, which if it had a bit more air underneath it, that one easily gets out, but the line drive took it off the wall. But you see the speed, just the pure speed that Gray has. It's a ball to left field, and he's getting a triple out of that. Usually you got to see something in the right field gap or right field line for most guys to get a triple. Doesn't matter with him.
Here's Miles Colangelo. Yeah, Coach Barnett really happy with the speed he added to this club in terms of Newland and Gray.
It allows him to play around more, and it puts pressure on pitchers when they get on base.
Yeah, Coach Barnett talked about that specifically today. Pitchers get preoccupied with a speedy guy on the base pass, and they take a little of their focus off the batter.
Yeah, 100%. That's what we were talking about. That's why it's such a luxury to have John Fiorenza behind the plate for the Saints, because they don't have to worry about the threat. They don't have to worry about holding the runners close. because that arm makes up for that. Now, when you have guys with burners like Newland and Gray, that puts a lot more pressure on the pitcher, and you've seen time and time again what pressure can do. Pitching's mainly mental. It's great to have the physical ability, but especially a starting pitcher, it's mostly mental. If you're off your game mentally, you're not going to pitch well.
Pacers bring the infield in, perhaps trying to cut down Gray at home with a ground ball, and there's a nice-looking breaking pitch.
Breaking ball right there. And on a 3-1 count, there was no way that Colangelo's looking for a breaking ball there. And to drop that in, that's a great call, and it's a great execution of a pitch.
So the count is full to Colangelo. And this one lifted into foul territory. And making the catch is Tripp. And there are 2 gone here in the Flagler fourth.
Got Bam Bam coming up to the plate, affectionately known as Bam by his teammates and a lot of the students here at Flagler. So looking to put a charge into the ball here and extend this lead.
This is Ashton Thomas, if you're not familiar with Bam Bam. He's doubled and was hit by a pitch, scored a run back in the second.
Look at the shift that the outfield's playing here. Look at how you have the right fielder pretty much playing in that right field gap. If he hits one down the line, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but you have to imagine he's getting 3.
The 0-1 pitch, ground ball to second, slow roller. But the play is made, and the inning is over, but not before the Saints tack on another run on a couple of hits and lead it 5-1. Top of the fifth, 5-1 Flagler leading off for the Pacers as the shortstop Scott Huntley. He grounded out his first time up.
Saints just keep putting up runs. That second inning came, they put up the 3, and they've not taken the foot off the gas pedal just yet.
3 runs in the second, 1 in each the third and fourth innings for the Saints. And with Voorhees, he doesn't need a whole lot to work with to...
Oh, no, he does not need much to work with, but I can guarantee you he is thanking each guy for giving him this cushion, because now he can just pitch as freely as he'd like.
Ground ball to Wellborn. Take it himself, and there's 1 away.
Besides really that bomb that was hit off of Voorhees in the third, a lot of the hasn't been great contact coming from even on their balls hit into play. It's been mostly ground balls and weak fly balls. Great job here from from Gage to keep the ball outside, keep it out of the wheelhouse of a lot of these power hitters for the Pacers.
Caden Blankenship is the batter. And you were talking about how Dave Barnett embraces small ball. He said Aiken, at least this year, resembles Flagler in a lot of ways. That they don't hit for a lot of power. They hit for a more of a singles hitting club, and they'll play a little small ball too. They like to run. They like the running game, as does Flagler. So when I talked to Coach this morning, he mentioned that this is a team that's kind of almost like looking in the mirror with us, although they not have the similar type of success that Flagler has. Here's a fly ball to Newland.
Took a bit off there, Gage did. Turned that one around, thankfully. Center field with that wall is extremely deep, but he went back-to-back breaking balls there, and sometimes that can get. That's the one danger with being someone who likes to pitch backwards like Gage does. Some guys can start to time that breaking ball, and if you're not on your game, that ball's going to get hit hard, especially if you hang one.
There's Carson Seuss, who hit the home run. Only run so far for the Pacers.
But back to the coaching staff, Michael Holder, the interim head coach here for Aiken. Former Vanderbilt assistant, then came aboard with Aiken about 5 years ago as a hitting instructor, last 2 years as a pitching coach, and really everywhere that he's gone in terms of his influence when he was the batting instructor, they set records hitting the ball for the team records hitting the ball, or school records hitting the ball, my mistake. And then when he moved over to the pitching staff, he controlled that staff very well. 3.45 ERA for the 2 years that he was the head coach, or not the head coach, the pitching coach, and now he's gotten the big job, at least in the interim role, as that is a great off-speed pitch there from Gage to set down the side.
So the Pacers go in order, still a 5-1 Flagler lead. Bottom of the fifth inning, 5-1 Saints. And Wellborn grounds out. So one pitch, one out for the Saints, and that brings up John Fiorenza. So we're talking a little bit about Coach Holder, and upon further inspection, he spent a lot of time at Aiken.
Yeah, it's a bit of a confusing write-up on him. My mistake there. He spent about 13 years, it appears, in two separate stints. He had a little brief hiatus where he spent 6 years with the University of North Georgia as an assistant coach, but he came back about 5 years ago to USC Aiken, and now is the interim head coach.
Yeah, as John Jordan, our sports information director, pointed out, Aiken typically a team that hits for power, and it's not uncommon to have 30 wins, and they've had more than 40 wins on occasion. So their struggles this year is a bit of an outlier. They're 10-16 coming in, 3-6 in the PBC. And Holder, the interim coach, if you're just joining us, 5th year in his second stint. There's a ground ball to first, and Fiorenza's retired.
You have to imagine with the limited amount of innings that Boozer could hold up. This was one of their starters for the next 2 games, especially on early in the because you said Fletcher's had a couple starts this year.
Yeah, 4 starts so far.
When you can't get that many innings, especially on a Friday game when you have a weekend series, that can really do damage to your bullpen, having to run through another starter. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe they go with maybe a bullpen day for one of these games, depending on how the series goes. But as a whole, you don't want to see that out of your starter. You want him to get at least through the first 5 at a minimum. And that's going to put some strain on their bullpen if the Saints can manage to knock out Fletcher as well.
This is Jaden Ward. That pitch outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Saints have their own pitching issues with a couple of pitchers experiencing elbow issues.
It's getting to that time in the season, right around the midway point, where the innings start to pile up, and just the grind of everyday throwing, it can get to you as a pitcher. It's a lot of innings to run through it's a lot of innings to run through. Now, thankfully, the weather's getting a bit warmer. It doesn't take as much to warm everything up. I know, being from the Northeast, pitching in the cold for the first 3 months of the season, it's really never even going to get up to 80 until the tail end of the season, if that. It's a bit of a luxury down here that guys don't have to wear long sleeves. They're warming up their bodies, but it's a lot of innings nonetheless, especially with a guy like Voorhees.
We'll talk more about it coming up. 5-1 Saints as we head to the 6th. And welcome back, ready for the top of the 6th inning. And back to the top of the order, Sean McQuillan is the batter. We're talking about pitching and pitching injuries, and the Saints are without Jake Hill and Robert Archibald. Both have elbow injuries. Archibald injured his elbow against Tampa. He heard an audible pop earlier this week, and he is done for the season, as is Jake Hill. Hill didn't pinpoint a specific time when he was injured, but he had soreness after he pitched this past Sunday. So in 1 week, the Saints have lost 2 key relievers.
Thankfully, with a guy like Voorhees, as you can see, there's no one in the bullpen, not even catcher. None of the guys have even been sent out to the bullpen. Put a lot of trust in the Saints' ace, and he's delivered time and time again. He's won his last 3 starts. He always will eat up innings for you. He's conservative when it comes to gets a lot of guys to get. He doesn't throw a lot of balls. He's efficient, gets guys to roll over, and when he does, he strikes people out early in counts.
McQuillan grounds out. This is Hannon, who's 0 for 2, a couple of strikeouts. The other question mark for the Saints is Seth Wysocki, who took a line drive off his forehead, and they think that he'll be good to go at some point this weekend. At Young Harris took one off the head and had a mild concussion. They're hoping he can start on Saturday.
Got Jose Hernandez stepping in as a pinch hitter here. Hernandez on the season batting 105. He's batting for Hannon. Expect him as an outfielder probably take over defensively as well.
Oh-2 to Hernandez is outside, ball 1.
Have to imagine they're looking for a spark here off the bench as their bats have gone cold. Gage has done a great job of keeping a solid offensive team at bay.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange move to replace your 2-hole hitter this early in a game, much less this early in a series.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's perhaps an injury issue with Hannon. He had struck out twice, but usually a coach will
at least wait a
give
bit longer.
top of the order guys especially a chance to get 3 or 4 at bats. And Hernandez makes him look very smart. Looks Coach Holder look good.
Yeah, that's what you want. You worked a long count there. That's a great at-bat from Hernandez, especially off the bench. Get you a bit of a spark. You have a guy on base now, something that has been at a premium for the Pacers through 6 innings, or through 5 1/4, or a third.
So this is Josh Sharp. A couple of ground outs for Sharp. Shows bunt. And it's a foul ball.
Yeah, they're trying to manufacture some runs here. As the regime change for the Pacers, as our great stats guy John Jordan was saying earlier, they were a power hitting team for years and years, a power hitting powerhouse, perennially at the top of the conference. And with the regime change, a philosophy change as well, they may not have the talent to hit bombs like they used to, but Holder's done a great job with the program, just changing philosophy. You're going to get runs any way you can, and to go to that small ball approach, smart.
And sometimes you have to work with what you have.
Yeah.
I mean, the players can sometimes dictate the kind of strategy or the kind of approach you have offensively.
A good coach will have his philosophy adapt to his players, not his players adapt to his philosophy.
This is a foul ball. 0-2 the count to Sharp.
Got a hold of that one, just yanked it down the line. But now he's in a tough spot with Voorhees 0-2, one of the strikeout artists, to say the least.
The 0-2 is outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Wasted a pitch there. Great job from John. That's a tough backhand, not even to block that, but that was well outside of the right-handed batter's box, and John just, with ease, backhanded that one right up.
Here's the 1-2 pitch, and that just missed. That's 70 pitches so far for Voorhees. Giving up 2 hits, just the 1 run. It was a home run. Walked 2, struck out 4. Not seeing the gaudy strikeout numbers that we've seen from some of the Voorhees starts. Was it a 13 strikeout game in that complete game?
13 or 14. Yeah, 13 strikeout game against Augusta as he tacks on another one there.
That's 5.
52 strikeouts coming into the game with another 5, 57 on the year. He is one of the best. And with the off speed that he possesses and just the ability to mess with guys' timings, mess with location, anyone stepping into the batter's box is going to have a tough time.
And stepping in now is Jeff Sear. First pitch is a ball, yeah. I mean, you see the strikeout numbers, more than a strikeout per innings pitched, or per inning pitched, but you don't think of Voorhees as your typical like power pitcher, strikeout guy. He's does get it done a lot of times with that good slider and the good changeup.
He's a finesse guy. It's pinpoint location, east to west, not north to south. He doesn't have the arm to go north to south, but when it's pure talent at that point. He works hard. He knows he has great control of all of his pitches. And in tandem with John, who calls a great game, they've been able to put numbers.
Here's the 2-0. And that's low, ball 3.
He gets reliant on that, especially against a right-handed batter. He loves that off-speed slider. With his arm position, it's going to start at or behind the batter, and a lot of times will work its way to the left-handed batter's box. A rare pass ball there.
So it's a walk to Sear, who's on for the first time today. And that brings up Nick Tripp, who's 1 for 2. He has one of the 2 hits so far for the Pacers.
Jinxed him there. I was applauding his great control, and then he spiked that one. But got 2 down here, and a bit of danger, but with a veteran like Voorhees, got to expect that he's going to battle here and hopefully get him out of the inning. Yeah, John's going to call time here. He's pulled the last couple of pitches. Might have a release point issue. He hasn't. The last couple pitches just haven't looked right in terms of just his mechanics. So, great catcher like John's going to come out, calm him down, reset him, and try and get out of this inning.
I believe that's his 5th consecutive ball after a 4-pitch walk to Sear. And so Fiorenza, as we talked about, so good handling the pitching staff. Something that doesn't show up in a statistic, but they feel great about him. And that was one thing that was lacking a bit last year when he was dealing with that thumb issue, although they love the way Tyler Keith works with the pitchers as well. This one fouled off.
He just calls such a great game. And we said previously in the game, you don't see that a lot in college. You see that in the pros, but a lot of the guys, that's why I think he's being looked at as a potential prospect, is a lot of catchers, especially from Division I programs, aren't getting the control.
There's a line drive to center. Newland can't track it down. It caroms off the wall, and it's going to bring home 2 runs. It's a double for Nick Tripp, and now he's caught up between the bases, and he'll be tagged out, but not before the damage is done. It's a 2-run double, and the Pacers are right back in it, trailing 5-3 as we head to the bottom of the 6th. And welcome back. Let's take another look at the play that ended the last inning. It was a 2-run double, but then a little greed.
Yeah, Voorhees left the ball out over the middle of the plate. One of the few mistakes he's made in the game, and Pacers took for a ride. Put that in the gap, one of the few hard-hit balls that they've had today. However, there was just a boneheaded base running mistake. Got a little greedy and just overextended that when he rounded second. And a heads-up play from the shortstop, Mason Gray, to throw behind him and caught him in a rundown, ended the inning.
That was Nick Tripp. It was a 2-run double, so now the score is 5-3.
You got to see the bats get hot here for the Saints. You don't want to let this go 1-2-3. You want to at least get some guys on base, some movement, give Gage some time to sit back, relax, and collect himself after just ending the inning on not a great pitch. Usually you're gonna always end an inning on an out. However, that out came in such a weird way. He didn't end the inning on a strong suit, where he didn't make a great pitch that led to an out. It was a mistake on the other side. So give him some time to cool down, get some runners on base.
3-1 to Tyler Keith, and Keith works a walk, so he's on for the second time today.
Quality at bat. That's a quality at bat yet again for the Saints. They're drawing walks pretty well today.
Some defensive changes for the Pacers. Jackson Hanna moves from right to left, and Jose Hernandez, who came in as a pinch hitter, is now in right.
You got to give that one up to the Pacers and Hernandez. We're criticizing the move almost at the beginning when it's got in the top of the order that they're pinch hitting for, but Hernandez comes in, draws the walk, and
nearly a spectacular diving catch by the catcher, Seuss.
Got away with one there. You never want to pop up a bunt. That's something that Coach Barnett will not be happy about. However, that would have been a great play had it been made. Saints get lucky there, and I wonder if they're going to remain with letting Burke try and lay one down here, or if they're going to let him swing away.
Count is no balls and 1 strike to Burke, who's 1 for 2. Shows bunt again, pulls it back, and the pitch is a ball. I think I had that mistaken. I believe Ty Gilbert is now the right fielder, and it's Hernandez in left.
Yes, Gilbert is going to be moving over from left to right, and then Hernandez taking over up in left field.
Here's the 1-1 pitch to Burke. Squares around a bunt, gets one down, and the play will be to first base. So it's a sacrifice bunt for Burke, and he moves the runner Keith into scoring position. Nice execution.
Nice execution. He had time. He could have went to second if he wanted to. Keith isn't the most fleet of foot there. But when you get that, you rarely run that in practice, that fielding drill to second. It's always going to be just take the easy out at first. However, you could have cut down the lead runner had he looked to second.
Yeah, Fletcher didn't even really venture a look.
Yeah, didn't even give it a look.
Just taking the safe out.
Which, for a guy, especially a reliever, I know he's had a couple starts on the year. You don't really work that much in the field because you're mainly just running bullpens and shagging balls in practice. So you're not getting as much fielding experience as the normal starter would. So, that one get him?
I think it might have caught the bat. I think they signaled foul ball there. May have caught the butt end of the bat.
Yeah, because it didn't really get a reaction, but it sounded awkward, to say the least.
Yes. This is Trey Newland, by the way, at the plate. Has an RBI today. This one chopped foul. Newland's been a great addition. $2.99 coming in. Another of the new faces. Transfer from Prince George's Community College, where he led the Owls with a 365 average a season ago. Also second in slugging on the club and an on-base percentage, a 461 on base and a 541 slugging percentage. So if I'm doing the math right, it's an on-base plus slugging north of just north of 1,000.
You love to get that production out of your leadoff guy.
Yeah, and not to mention all the stolen bases. He had 13 stolen bases a year ago.
Just a complete ball player. Really no weak points in his game. The athleticism is a plus where nearly beat that one out, and that was a pretty hard hit ball.
Yeah, Blankenship maybe doesn't want to take that look over to second, trying to hold Keith close to the bag because of Newland's speed, and he nearly paid for it, but he registers the out, and there are two gone here in the Flagler six.
Yeah, Keith's not going anywhere at second on that play. Obviously, this is the first series that we've played against Aiken. Scouting report doesn't show that, and that's just basic fundamentals, but you don't have to give that look over there to Keith. He's complacent at second.
This is Mason Gray, first pitch strike. Gray with an RBI triple back in the fourth that nearly got out. It hit the wall and left.
I didn't know he had that power, to be completely honest with you, Dave.
I don't think we've seen him hit a ball that hard, at least in the home games here. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That one stays outside. Ball one.
Would you love to get a run back here, especially giving up those last two? Since Fletcher's come in the game, he's pitched extremely well. Throws the ball a lot harder than Boozman did.
There's the line drive back up the middle. They'll send Keith, and there will not be a throw. And there's exactly what you're talking about, Jordan. Getting the run back. It's now 6-3 Flagler, and the lead back to 3.
And now you got speed at first. I expect Mason to take off at some point during this at-bat. Got two down here. He's going to be in the head of Fletcher, who's a right-handed. You can get a much bigger lead with a right-handed pitcher. He's going to be off at some point during this at-bat.
That's a good point about the lead. And they seem to be aware of Gray's proclivities. Gray has stolen 12 bases in 15 attempts.
Yeah, looking at him again. Didn't even come to set that time. Yeah, they're going to try their hardest to keep him close to that bag, but
Mason Gray and Trey Newland are tied atop the Peach Belt Conference in steals, along with Connor Curley from Clayton State, all with 12 stolen bases. Fletcher comes set. No, another check on Gray. They got him. Leading the wrong way, and Gray is picked off to end the inning, but the Saints get a run back and lead it 6-3. And welcome back. 6-3 Saints. Might have been more. They caught Mason Gray leaning the wrong way, Jordan.
You have a guy, everyone knows he's going to go. He's tops of the Peach Belt Conference in steals. And one pitch, 3 pickoff moves just caught him. Gray was trying to time up the pitcher, Fletcher, and he got caught leaning the wrong way. It happens sometimes. It happens to some of the great base runners you see.
So, top of the 7th, it will be Gilbert, Huntley, and Blankenship due up for the Pacers. This is Ty Gilbert behind 0-2. He's 0 for 2 today.
Just a great start to the inning there from Voorhees. Started off, dropped in a first pitch breaking ball, then comes back outside with some heat and quick 0-2 hold. Looking outside again as he missed there.
Now, John Jordan reminded me or pointed out that it's not Clayton State baseball, because there's no such thing. It's Columbus State that Connor Curley plays for.
What a great name. Connor
Curley? That's a good baseball name.
That's a good baseball name right there.
There's the 2-2. No, just foul, line drive. Just a couple of feet wide of the left field line.
Tried the front door breaking ball and way out in front of it there. Tried to start that one at him and bring that one into the inside corner. And batter got right around on that one. But I'd expect maybe off speed, either come back inside hard or soft away. And he went soft away.
Wow.
And struck him out. That's a frisbee of a slider right there. That's just some great pitching and some great work behind the dish again with Fiorenza calling the game.
So one gone, and the batter is Scott Huntley, the shortstop. He's 0 for 2. I don't want to shortchange Columbus State. They are one of the best teams in the country, number 2 in the nation in the latest collegiate baseball newspaper poll. Came out this week. 23-4 overall, 8-1. Just a game, though, ahead of Flagler,
who still doesn't have any votes.
No votes. It's surprising. I don't think we finished that thought earlier. It may be that Flagler's overall record doesn't jump out at you, 14-12, because they played a tough non-league schedule. You mentioned the 2 games against Tampa. Also, they had a couple games against Rollins that they lost. Mm-hmm. Rollins is a ranked team, number 16 this week. And so a tough non-league schedule certainly looks like it's gotten them battle-tested for conference play. But maybe if you're not familiar with the Peach Belt Conference or with Flagler in particular, and you see 14-12, you don't vote for them.
Yeah, 100%. I was talking to some of the guys on the team, and they see the same thing because they have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. Not being ranked, they feel as though they've done enough. They're playing against teams. They're beating teams in their conference that are very good. They acknowledge they played a very tough non-conference schedule, but they kind of like being the underdog here. Having that chip on your shoulder can go a long way.
This one popped up. Wellborn drifting over, makes the play in foul territory, so a good inning for Voorhees as the Pacers go in order. Saints continue to lead at 6-3. Time to stretch. And welcome back. Saints 7th. It will be Colangelo, Thomas, and Wellborn due up against Fletcher. And we're talking about the polls, and not necessarily that a poll is an important thing. It's sometimes just bragging rights. It sometimes makes you feel good to see your name in print listed among the top 30 teams in the league. But you have some insight on that.
Yeah, I was talking to the guys, and they have a bit of a chip on their shoulder about not being ranked. They know that they're a good baseball team. Their record doesn't show it because of their tough non-league schedule, but everyone, or non-conference schedule, but
there's a base hit from Colangelo.
Everyone on the team, everyone who's played against Flagler, everyone who's coached against Flagler can see that they're a good baseball team. From their complete baseball team, they have really no big weaknesses to their game. They can pitch, they can hit, they can field. They're a smart team. They run the bases very well. They're not going to play themselves out of any game.
Yeah, not a lot of power if you're looking for a place that maybe to improve on. But again, you talked about molding your strategy to the strengths of your players that you have on that particular roster. First pitch is a ground ball, could be 2. The throw to second for 1, and there will not be a relay throw.
Great slide there from Colangelo to break up that double play. Not a dirty slide by any means, not even any contact made, but he forced the shortstop to move way out of line and not come through with that throw. And then he had a bit of a log jam at first with about 2 guys in the area and didn't really know who's going to be on the bag.
Brings up Luke Wellborn, who's had a couple of hits today. Also scored a run and has driven in a run. Wellborn seems to solidified his place at first. He was splitting time with Coy Phillips through the non-league portion of the season. Phillips has not hit very well.
Fletcher's done a fantastic job since coming in. I've been watching him as he's gone through these last couple innings, and his fastball has just great movement to it. His fastball's not what we call flat. It's moving, it looks like arm side and might be a 2-seam moving arm side and down, which is getting a lot of these ground balls, as we've seen. Also, just the change in velocity from Boozer seems to stifle the Saints a little, even though they have gotten some runs on the board.
He's a 6'5" guy named Fletch. And maybe that's a dated reference, certainly a dated reference. I wonder how many college kids get that one. I imagine he hears it. So thrown 63 pitches since coming in, given up 5 hits, a couple of runs. This one blocked by the catcher Seuss.
What he's done in this game has really helped out the Pacers just for the rest of their series. When you have your starter knocked out after about a batter into the 3rd inning, if you have to go and burn through a bunch of bullpen guys, giving them 1 inning here, 1 inning there, 1 inning there, that could really throw off the rest of the series. But to have Fletcher come in and just calm everything down, go out there and pitch almost like he was starting the game himself, that can do a lot for a pitching staff.
Yeah, that long reliever role is sometimes overlooked. I mean, he's gone already 4 1/3, and there's a little bit of movement, but no one throwing right now in the bullpen, so it looks like they're going to stick with him at least for the time being. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Fouled off.
Great job by Wellborn to fight that one off on the outer half of the plate.
Yeah, we've seen some great at-bats today from the Saints. You mentioned going deep into counts. They really made Boozer work.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was kind of a key to getting to him in the 2nd inning. Those long at-bats.
That's one of the strengths of this Saints team, is they make guys work on the mound. And that goes a long way.
There's a ground ball to short, and the play is made at second. The relay not in time, and that looked kind of like a bit of a dangerous play from Thomas, whose spikes came up as he crossed the bag.
Don't think that was intentional from Ashton. However, You never want to see the spikes come up. The second baseman's clearly angry and has every right to, but when he slid onto the base, he slid a little late, as you tend to do when you're trying to break up a double play, but when his feet made contact with the bag, they shot up. And that's not an intentional move. He didn't come up with the spikes up, or the intention to have the spikes up.
Here's Fiorenza. Has a sacrifice fly where he drove in a run back in the third. Also a walk in the second. Flown into center field, and McQuillan makes the catch. That ends the inning. One hit, no runs. Saints still lead at 6-3.
Someone stretching, but I don't even know if he's stretching. It looks like he's just throwing balls at the fence back there. So you got one guy sitting out there.
And welcome back. Voorhees back for his 8th inning of work. He's thrown 89 pitches. Given up just 3 hits, also 3 runs. He's walked 3 and struck out 7. And we talked a bit about Michael Holder, the interim coach for the Pacers, but let's not forget about Dave Barnett, who's a Hall of Famer, and he's in a couple of different Hall of Fames, and he's now 4 wins away. Here's a fly ball to Thomas in left, and he reaches up and makes the catch. It's always a bit of an adventure for Ashton, who's found a place in left. You talked about he played a lot of first last year, but now with Wellborn and Coy Phillips coming in, he didn't really have a place to start the season, and they thought he'd have to earn his spot, earn his at-bats as a DH, and he's hit so well that they found a spot for him in left field.
Being from Boston, he reminds me of watching Manny Ramirez play left field. Not a compliment, but not a gets the job done out there, to say the least, and it's enjoyable to watch. He always makes it look he makes it look not smooth but clean.
There you go. That's a nice way to say it. Yeah, he's certainly probably in the lineup for his offense above his defense, like Manny.
When you hit the ball like he does, yeah, he's in the offense. He's in the lineup every day because of his bat, and he has the versatility where he can play out in the outfield, and that gives the Hall of Fame head coach Dave Barnett a lot of options. Dave must love having those options.
Way to bring that around back to where I started. There's McQuillan, by the way, at the plate. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Yeah, congratulations. Dave Barnett is a new member in January of the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. 996 wins coming into today. He's also in the Flagler Hall of Fame. ranks 12th in wins among active D2 baseball coaches. The 1-2 pitch, grounded foul.
Yeah, he's also about 4 games away, exactly 4 wins away from 1,000 wins. The Saints get these next 4 wins at home. He'll have his celebration here at Drysdale Field. However, if they drop one of them, it's most likely going to come on the road, as we were informed. It's going to be a lengthy away stretch for the Saints after these next 4, 9 straight on the road.
Right, I think it's 8 of 9.
8 of 9.
And there's the one Embry-Riddle game on April 5th, which is a home game here on the 5th at 6 o'clock. Here's a ground ball. There are 2 gone.
As they'd say, the Saints are coming home for a cup of coffee in the middle of a lengthy, a lengthy road trip.
The Saints, I think, played 10 straight at home, starting with those Rollins games. And then went out on the road at Albany State, and then the first road Peach Belt series at Young Harris, where they took 2 of 3.
Against a good Young Harris team, too. Gage,
this is Hernandez.
Looking great on the mound as always, Gage. Just first pitch, breaking ball, doesn't matter. He pitches backwards, pitches forwards, pitches any way he wants, and he's just been effective. Starting out with fastballs, just changing it up, and that's how you pitch late into a game. You can't keep giving up that same look. He's switching up with every guy.
There's pitch 101 for Voorhees, and he blows it past Hernandez.
Doesn't even look like he's breaking a sweat out there, to be completely honest.
And it's so important. You talked a little bit about what Fletcher is doing for the Aiken club, but what Voorhees does here on a Friday night, and we've seen this so many times as we get the strikeout. We'll talk about it when we come back.
Yeah, that's probably going to do it for Gage, as we got 2 guys up in the pen.
6-3 Saints.
Yeah.
Tournament, and I thought they looked so sketchy that I couldn't go with them.
And welcome back. Home half of the 8th inning, 6-3 Flagler. And this is Jaden Ward leading things off for the Saints. He's 1 for 3 with a run scored.
Have to imagine we just saw the last of Gage Voorhees on the mound. He had another just fantastic outing. Strikeout after strikeout, and he did what we were talking about, giving Fletcher, the pitcher for Pacers, a lot of credit for coming in and eating up innings.
High fly ball to left, drifting back, and this one is gone. A home run for Jaden Ward. Wow. Got it up into the jet stream there, and it leaves Drysdale Field.
That was a moonshot. That was a moonshot. Not a cloud in the sky, not a star in the sky. You could gotta call the FAA on that one, get them regulating, because that one was hit a mile into the sky. No doubt about that one. Got the everyone in that park knew. Everyone in Drysdale Field knew that ball was out as soon as he left the bat.
Ward is absolutely red hot, leading the team with a .338 average coming in. And here's another moonshot. This one to straightaway center. The park's going to hold it, though, as McQuillan settles under it and makes the catch.
Yeah, that's center field. This is a very hard park to hit out. You almost have a mini green, well, be a red monster just in dead center. Make it pretty much impossible to put one out.
Right, that batter's eye out there at the 400 mark. But as you mentioned earlier, like when the wind's blowing, this park can change quickly from pitcher's park to a hitter's park. It's 325 down the lines. By the way, this is Matthew Burke at the plate, who's 1 for 2.
Yeah, the park goes over just quite a few changes in the early part of the season. 100% a pitcher's park. It's cold out, the dimensions, and the wind's generally blowing in, but as it gets warmer and warmer as we get later and later into the season and the winds start blowing from different angles, this place can turn quickly into a hitter's park, and you can see balls fly out in a hurry.
And let's get back to Voorhees and what he's done for the program. The Friday night starter, he's not made a start and gone less than 5 innings. He went 5 innings in his opener against Queens, and since then 6 innings, 8, 7, a complete game against Augusta, 5 2/3, and then 7 1/3 at Young Harris his last time out. Here's another fly ball to McQuillan.
Yeah,
2 outs.
He's done exactly what you want out of your ace. To come in, eat innings, and especially with the new injuries in the bullpen, he's doing exactly what you want. You're going to be able to throw if that was his last inning, you're going to come in, throw one guy, put the bow on the game, hopefully, and save your bullpen for the rest of the weekend, where everything's a little up in the air with just terms of the injury bug that seems to have bitten Flagler.
Right, Jake Hill and Robert Archbold likely out for the season. They've not made the official determination, but even if they're able to bounce back from the injury, the rehab time is so long that at this point in the season, they don't really have the time to get back.
Yeah, you don't want to risk it either, rushing them back from injury, especially an arm injury, an elbow injury. Something like that can end a career. That hit Newland. Yep.
So the Saints have a runner aboard with 2 outs, and that brings Mason Gray up, who's hit the ball hard a couple of times. He has a triple and a single with a couple of RBIs.
Saints are just a magnet for getting hit by pitches.
They seem to be, don't they?
It's every single year. It seems like they are always just getting peppered with baseballs.
43 so far, including the 2 today. And Newland, of course, a threat to steal. Big lead at first base. He's got 12 steals on the season. And he breaks. Boy, what a great break he got. No chance for the catcher, Seuss.
Didn't even matter. They pitched out there. That was a great ball to throw on. Fastball, high and outside, already pretty much in the throwing position when he caught the ball. Doesn't matter when you have speed like that and a lead like that.
Yeah, he got a great jump. And then the speed takes over. So now Newland in scoring position for Gray. Big cut.
Yeah, some high heat right there. It's a bit of, say, hair on that pitch. Some high cheese, as we'll put it. Got Mason Gray's eyes wide open there as he took quite the hack at that one.
Count is 1-1 to Gray. Another big swing. Fletcher's look good.
Yeah, Fletcher's just reared back in this at bat and decided to cut it out. He hit Newland with an off-speed pitch. Decided to just scrap that here in the at bat against Gray and just rear back and fire fastballs.
The 1-2 as Newland breaks, and that is the end of the inning. But the Saints get another run on the moonshot home run from Ward, and they lead it 7-3.
I wouldn't mind being compared to him. Still Voorhees? Yeah. Wow. Hey, John, let me ask you this. Can you look at this? What's the difference between these two stat things here? With Voorhees, you have 5 games and 7 appearances. Like, what am I looking at here? Oh, that's the batting stats. Oh, those are batting stats. Thank you. Thank you. Huh? You want to? No. Did you replay it once already? That's fine. Hey, do you want to see it?
No, I think we're good.
All right.
We talked about
Yeah,
Voorhees
that's a good idea,
earlier.
though.
That is a good.
And welcome back. So 9th inning, and Voorhees will try to pitch a second complete game.
Barnett trusting his ace here to go out and finish this one up. 3 hits, and the scoreboard really doesn't reflect how well Gage has pitched this game. In terms, he's really only allowed 2 hard hit balls, on one on that home run and then that RBI double. So even though his pitch count is getting up there into the mid 110s, I believe we're at, Dave's trusting him to finish this one out. Definitely won't pitch again in the series, but to save those bullpen arms, this is exactly what you want out of your Friday night pitcher.
This is his 106th pitch, and this one is a fly ball to Colangelo and right.
It's a can of corn, Dave. That's what we call a can of corn, just a routine little pop-up there.
That brings up Sear, so for 2 with a walk.
The second baseman, number 1, Jeff Sear.
So Voorhees back on March 4th against Augusta through a complete game with 13 strikeouts.
What Gage has done against especially the top 2 guys in terms of average, 2 of the best hitters on this Pacers team, is part of the reason for his great success. Their 1 guy and their 4 guy, Sear up to bat right now, he's held in check, and that is a great pitch. That was a front door breaking ball, front door slider, had Sear looking. He thought that one was going to hit him, and backed out, and that one just nabbed the inside part of the plate.
Yeah, the leadoff man, McQuillan, and Sear, the cleanup guy, have managed just a walk apiece against Voorhees. The big blow for the Pacers was the home run from Seuss, but as you pointed out, solo shot, didn't do a lot of damage. And then Tripp with the 2-run double in the 6th inning, but then the base running blunder, and here's a base hit from Sear.
It's a hard hit ball there from Sear. You got to expect that, though. You have their 2 best guys. You've held them to a walk each throughout this game. That's 2 guys. That's 8 at bats. One of them is bound to make hard contact.
So the batter's Nick Tripp. Tripp had that 2-run double, and then inexplicably was trying to stretch it into a triple with 2 outs and was picked off in a nice defensive play by Flagler.
That's what Coach Barnett wants to see out of his guys, taking advantage of other teams' mistakes. You see the pitchers, when they make a mistake, they hang up a pitch. You see the Flagler batters jump all over it.
Still the home run.
And
Play that at the end. Great. Huh?
and when the Pacers have made mistakes on base paths, Saints have taken full advantage as well.
Popped into foul territory, Wellborn camps under it and makes the catch.
That was an adventure there for Wellborn.
I think the wind is wreaking havoc with some of those high hit balls.
Yeah, it's a bit of a vortex out there. Especially, that's a tough play for the first baseman to track the ball over his shoulder like that, especially when you have the wind blowing from right to left.
So down to their last out are the Pacers. First pitch is high.
Boozer gets the loss, right?
Ty Gilbert at the plate. And there's a strike. 1-1 strike.
Voorhees looking to put the finishing touches on just another fantastic outing for him. Looking for another conference player of the week for him, or pitcher of the week. He got
a swing and a miss, and it's down to the last strike for the Pacers.
Expect him to try and hunt a strikeout here, end this one on a positive note.
Outside, they throw behind the runner. See the arm strength from Fiorenza there. Again, throwing from his knees.
It just makes you chuckle sometimes just watching how much power he can get behind the ball from his knees. Like, that was what a lot of guys would need to crow hop into to get to throw the ball with that much velocity. It doesn't matter. That's just natural arm talent from him.
And that does it. Voorhees ends it with the exclamation mark. 7-3 the final. Another complete game win for Gage Voorhees, who improves to 4-1 on the season. The Saints improved to 15-12 overall, 8-2 in the PBC. Aiken drops to 10-17, 3-7 in the league. Your thoughts? It was pitching and then finally some power hit.
Oh yeah, that's what you want to see. The Saints can win a multitude of ways, and they put it all together. The scoreboard doesn't reflect how dominant of a victory this was and how dominant of a pitching performance from Gage Voorhees. 3 runs earned, it happens, but he put up a great outing and he got great run support. Saints got on the starter Boozer early. That's all I got for you, Dave.
Hey, it was fun, Jordan.
It was very fun.
Great game. The Saints stay in at least a tie for second place, depending on what Columbus State and Young Harris do tonight. And the teams will be back at it tomorrow afternoon. And let me just check here. It's a 1 o'clock scheduled first pitch here on 2 o'clock tomorrow on the PBC network. So for our producer, Juliana Maynard, our sports information director, John Jordan, and Jordan Fauci on the broadcast for the first time. Glad to have you with us, my friend.
Glad to be here.
I'm Dave Wenda. The final again, 7-3, Saints win.
Buenos
Good night, everyone.
noches, amigos.